Hello there, students. Thank you for joining me for this presentation. Our focus today is United States History, Semester A, and we are doing Unit 3, which is a Union Crisis, and we're focusing on the Civil War, battles, strategies, and effects tutorial. Please remember to have a notebook so that you are able to take notes and use those notes in order to answer all of the questions that you will encounter in this tutorial, as well as the unit activity. And the objective for today is that you will identify and explain military strategies, battles, and diplomacy during the U.S. Civil War. Let's move on now. We are now on page 11 of the Civil War, battles, strategies, and effects tutorial. And this is the lesson activity on strength and weaknesses. Let's read the directions so you'll know what to do. Read the instructions for this self-check activity, type in your response to each question, and check your answer. At the end of the activity, write a brief evaluation of your work. Activity A. In this case, what strengths and weaknesses have you noted about the Union's involvement in the Civil War? Here you have to have some background information, obviously, and you should have it because you already have reviewed a couple of slides here prior to this page 11. So you should have a good idea on the weaknesses and also on the strength in the Civil War, basically. And you should be able to tell us what were some of those weaknesses and what were some of those strengths. Just label them. I would say write down at least 3 weaknesses and at least 3 strengths, and provide a simple explanation right next to the weakness. Make sure that you are using your notes again to complete this activity. Part B. What strengths and weaknesses do you find on the Confederate side of the Civil War? So now you're looking at those states that had like slavery, the Confederate states. You need to explain again. Give us at least 3 weaknesses of the Confederate states and give us at least 3 strengths, and provide a brief explanation for each one. Let's move on. We are now on page 19 of the Civil War, battles, strategies, and effects tutorial, and this is lesson activity, Civil War lives. And let's read the directions so you'll know exactly what to do here on the activity part. Using your knowledge of the Civil War, answer the following questions. Part A. Briefly explain how the Civil War changed the lives of individuals from one of the following groups. You have females, you have African Americans, and you have Native Americans. What you need to do here is provide a good paragraph, and you need to select one of these groups here. And you can tell us, for example, how did the Civil War change the lives of women? You know, you can go and say that the females were there and became part of the Civil War in certain occupations or in certain scenarios. And you can also pick African Americans. You can also pick Native Americans. Just make sure that you provide a solid explanation. Contrast your choice against one of the other opinions, comparing the similarities and differences between experience of individuals from the 2 groups. Again, you have to use your notes here and some common knowledge that you may have about the Civil War in order to answer this part. Make sure that you provide a good paragraph here with at least 5 sentences. Let's move on to the next activity. We are now on page 20 of the Civil War, battles, strategies, and effects tutorial. And this is a fairly simple activity. You have tiles here that you can actually move, to anywhere that you want here, and you have description here. Please make sure that you match each tile to each description, and once you're done with that, just hit the submit button and you should move on to the next activity. We are now on page 24 of the Civil War, battles, strategies, and effects tutorial, and this is another lesson activity, which is brainstorming about the Civil War. Let's go here and read the activity part so you'll know what to do here. One way to get a grip on the enormous topic of the Civil War is to think about what its impact has been. Brainstorm on these questions and note at least 6 significant impacts, influences, or results. So, for example, what was the impact of the Civil War? How did it affect the North? How did it affect the South? How did it affect the United States as a whole? How did it influence our views of our past? How has it shaped our future? Please brainstorm some ideas. You can find online resources also to provide a good solid response here. And in this case, you need to basically say at least 6 significant things that happened. For example, if you talk about how was the impact of the Civil War, well, just go one by one. Impact or this significant component and this other significant component. If you talk about how did it affect the United States as an entire country, you do the same thing. For example, one of the biggest impacts of the Civil War is that people were no longer considered slaves. That's one of the biggest ones. And then you can talk about maybe the death total in the Civil War, among many other things. But you need to have 6 different things right here. And once you do that, you're done basically with the activities, but you still have 7 more pages to go here. If you see, this is barely page 24 out of 31 to complete this tutorial. Please continue to work hard, and I will see you soon.